What's up guys, Fahrenheit back again with another video. This video, I want to talk about a game I've been anticipating for a long time, really excited about, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Now, I made a video about it before, back when it first was announced, sometime around then, and I haven't talked about it or covered it in any way since then, I don't think. And so, some stuff has happened since then, and I want to talk about, what I think about that stuff, and just kind of go over some of the things that they've come out with since the initial release. So, man, where to start? I mean, they've been doing this game so much justice. Like, I'm just gonna let myself just kind of just geek out a little bit for this game because it looks so good, man. I can't believe that two of my favorite things are just coming together in this game, and I geeked out about it with the initial video, but looking at the game as it's just coming along, it just looks so good. It's just crazy how good it looks. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, Arc System Works and the Guilty Gear Xrd style that they're using for it, I really like Guilty Gear Xrd. I think it's such an awesome looking game. It plays in such a cool way, and they really did something amazing with that. And that blend with Dragon Ball Z is perfect. I'm whoever came up with that idea, kudos to that guy. Kudos to him. So anyway, let's move on to some of the stuff that they came out with since my last video. So there's a few things that I want to talk about, and we're gonna start first with some of the characters they've come out with. Trunks was revealed, I think, since the last time I made a video about this. And in my first video, I mentioned how I was waiting for Trunks. I knew he had to be revealed eventually. I just knew it. I'm like, they gotta reveal my boy Trunks. He's got to be on my team. He's got to be. And the next character they revealed after the initial 6 was Trunks. It was future Trunks, because of course it was. Like, he's just too cool. He's too cool. I remember when I was a kid, when I first saw the episode with him in it, I was just like, dude, this guy is a beast. Like, he was just too flashy. He's just too cool. And for a character that flashy to not be in an Arc System game about Dragon Ball Z, no, that'd be an injustice. So of course he was in it. Then sometime after that, they came out with who I predicted, and I think a lot of people did, Piccolo and Krillin. That was pretty obvious. They're staples. They're Z fighters. They gotta be in it. Like, Piccolo and Krillin, they're in the manga and the anime so much. I mean, I never really read the manga, but I mean, I don't think it's that much different from the anime. They had to be in it. There was no arguing that. There's no debating it. And also there's so many points of reference, different attacks and stuff that they can grab from all throughout the anime. It's like, of course they were going to be in it. I don't think anyone predicted any differently. I actually wish I put out my initial predictions for the roster, because I predicted pretty much everything they were going to do up until this point in terms of characters, minus 2 characters. And I should have put my character predictions up already, but I didn't do that. But I probably will make a video for that. Piccolo, Krillin, it's interesting because in terms of my previous predictions, I expected that they would play the way that they do. I figured that Piccolo, first of all, he would be in the game, and I figured he'd have like the arm stretching abilities. I knew that was a thing of his. And I thought because of that, he would probably be more of a space control character, a spacing control character. And now that I've seen his gameplay, it looks like that's pretty much what he is. He's more of a technical character. He likes to control space. He pulls you in to him instead of having to dash to you. He pulls you in. He has like this projectile that floats in slowly across the screen to control the spacing. He has moves where he'll teleport very quickly or move out of the way very quickly and like do like overhead chops for cross ups and stuff like that. So I'm more of a technical character, a character who strikes from range more so than being up close and personal. His special beam cannon, looks like he can teleport across the screen and different parts of the screen before he fires it off, which is a really cool concept. I don't know if he ever did that in the show. I don't remember that, but he should have. And he's sitting there charging up a special beam cannon and it takes forever. He should have just started teleporting across the field. So it's like, oh, I'm over here, up, I'm over here, up, I'm over here. Okay, now I'm done charging it. And then you just fire it. That would have been so sick. That's a cool concept. I like that. So Piccolo's in it. He's pretty much what I expected he would be. Krillin, of course, as most people I'm sure predicted, he's in it, and he's more or less what I expected as well. More of a, I guess, a tactful character. I didn't think, because he's a short character like Gohan. Gohan is up close, in your face powerhouse, which makes perfect sense considering anyone who saw when Gohan Super Saiyan 2 was a thing, when that happened. He is a powerhouse. When he was fighting Cell, he'd get up in your face, punch the crap out of you. When he fought Bojack, he'd walk real slow, like something out of a horror movie, like he was Jason Voorhees. He'd walk real slow. Anyone who got close to him, he ended him. He just ended him. He was a beast. Oh man, I love Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan. He's one of my favorites. I love that kid. So I figured Krillin wasn't going to be like that. He wasn't going to be in your face like that. It would be too similar to Teen Gohan, who's another shorter character. So I figured, just like in the anime, he's going to be more of a tactician. He's going to probably fight from a distance, use the Destructo Disc, use other kinds of beam attacks, and tactics, and that's exactly what he does. He has, the super where he throws a projectile, then he has it rain down on the opponent, which can allow him to kind of like take a chance as they're having to block the attack that's raining down on them. It gives him a chance to do other things, recuperate, get himself out of there, tag himself out of there, or whatever. I think he has Senzu Bean ability that can heal. I believe it heals a pretty good amount. He throws rocks. He does all kinds of stuff. He has his Destructo Disc, which doesn't do instant kill, but it does a lot of damage. So he's more or less what I expected from Krillin, and that's pretty cool. Then there's, moving on from that, we have the androids. And I think most people predicted they'd be in it. I did as well. And this is why I wish I had made my initial predictions video. Because not only did I predict the androids, I predicted that 17 and 18 would be in unison. I predicted 16, as a lot of people I think did, because I figured, this being a fighting game, right, they need a cast of various characters that are very different from each other. It's very important to do that in a fighting game, right? And so they need characters that don't fight so similar and also look very different. And I figured, all right, they're going to need a big character. Going to need a grappler. That's important for a fighting game, right? You need your grappler. So I'm like, who would that be? So I thought like off the top of my head, right? I'm like, well, mind you, I haven't seen Dragon Ball Z or consumed anything Dragon Ball related in a long time, right? So I'm going off of my memory, and I'm like, well, there was Nappa. I'm like, would they use Nappa? He was pretty cool, but I for some reason I was like, I don't know if they're gonna use him. I'm like, well, there's Raccoon. I'm like, they're definitely not gonna use Raccoon. I scrapped that right away. And I'm like, all right, well, there was 16. And so I thought to myself, like, you know what? I felt like they might use 16 because they used Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, right? And that was a big part of what made him actually become Super Saiyan 2. And then I was just like, you know what? What if there's a story mode that explains why these characters are in this game? Maybe that would mean that 16 would also be in the game because Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's in the game. And so I was just like, not only that, 16, he has such a unique character design compared to a lot of the other characters, and special attacks that were actually like what was that move he had? He pulled his arms off and he just fires them like into the opponent. I was just like, that's something about that move was just really iconic for him, especially since he didn't fight for that long. Like, he was kind of just chilling in the background with 17 and 18. But when he finally started fighting and it showed how strong he was, and he had that special attack, I was like, man, nobody has anything quite like that. So I'm like, you know what? I feel like he is probably going to be the grappler character. It'll probably be him. They have Cell, they have Gohan, right? The Android 17 and 18 were gonna be in the game. So I was like, it's probably gonna be 16. Turns out it was 16. They definitely play on his size, even in his intro pose. He's the big guy, he's the big character. Following that, 17 and 18, or I should say 18 and 17. Now this is another one where I totally predicted they'd do this, right? I've seen online a lot of people who are like, why isn't he his own character? They were expecting that he'd be his own character. Honestly, I don't know why people thought that. I have no idea why people thought that. I always felt like 18 was a more prominent aspect of Dragon Ball Z. I had no doubt that she was going to show up in the game, but I felt like because they're so similar in appearance, they're not going to make them separate characters, right? I was thinking to myself, and for anyone who plays Arc System Works games, you'll be familiar with characters like Carl Clover, Aurelius Clover, right? Where they have these characters that have their own personal assists, right? And I'm like, that not only would that bring such variety to this game, it's something that Arc System Works is not foreign to. Like, they're familiar with that kind of thing. Probably gonna be more like Aurelius Clover or something like that. And that's pretty much what they did. I'm like, man, 17 and 18 are going to fight in tandem. That's kind of what makes them so cool, is that they were like these twins and they fought in tandem, that they could do that they could read each other like that. You know, I was like, that's how they're gonna do this. I'm confident. I was super confident it was going to be 18 as the forerunner and 17 was going to back her up. I swear to you, that was my prediction. And I figured that he was going to be an assist that was more like a quick assist, like Aurelius Clover has like his mannequin or whatever that just kind of appears or jumps out and attacks, right? Where he's not always out there like Carl Clover, because that would be too complicated and they don't want to scare people off from this game. They still want people to be able to play this game that aren't used to like hardcore fighting games. So I knew they were going to keep it more simple, a more simple style of tag mechanic. So with that in mind, I'm like, it's going to be one of those situations where she doesn't have a lot of ways to get in close. So she's going to have him to throw projectiles and stuff like that so she can bridge in the gap between the opponent and herself. And then also have him there to fill in the gaps between her combos so that she hits your opponent with a combo, then 17 comes out, fills in the combo where maybe she can't reach your opponent or whatever. That'll give her time to jump in, reach the opponent, and land an ender. I knew it. I was like, there's no way it's not going to be that way. And then when I saw her stats, I was just like, look at that. She has no range. Of course. Why doesn't she have range? Because 17 is going to be the range for her. And then I see the gameplay and I'm like, this is exactly what I predicted. I was just like, dude, I couldn't see it any other way. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I was really excited for that. She might end up being on my team just because I was just like, dude, that looks really cool. Her and 16, they both actually look really dope. But there's more characters that they revealed. Now, this I didn't predict exactly. I'll explain. Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, which is really, I gotta say, that is the dumbest name I think I've ever heard for something that's supposed to be so powerful. Who came up with that? It is like the stupidest, please. I prefer SSJB, the just Super Saiyajin Blue. I'm cool with that. Just, or as I tend to call them, like Super Saiyan Blue Raspberry, because something about the shade of blue that they have reminds me of like blue raspberry Kool-Aid or something. Like this, it's the shade. It looks like, it reminds me of confectionate sugar. Anyway, they ended up in the game as playable characters. I figured that the blue Super Saiyans would be represented somehow. But honestly, I thought that they probably would just take pre-existing Goku, pre-existing Vegeta, and have them kind of switch, have them have like additional skins, like a pre-order bonus skin or something for Super Saiyan Blue. I figured that they would probably go that route instead. Not saying that that's what they should do, I just figured that's probably what they would do. And then that way, like Goku, when he starts off the fight, right, his intro pose has him transform Super Saiyan, but if you have the skin, he would just go Super Blue instead. And then when he does his attack, when he transforms Super Saiyan 3, instead he goes Kaioken, like Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken or whatever, and just does the same thing. It seems like it would just kind of fit, but they didn't go that route. Instead, they made them entirely different characters, which I was not that particularly happy about at first because it felt kind of filler. But if they're different enough, and from the trailer, it seems like they do have a few different moves. I don't know every move that's different based on the trailer, but their really cinematic supers are obviously different. And they have a few other moves that I think are pretty different or pretty cool. And it seems like their stats are different. Goku becomes extremely fast or something like that. So I guess really heavy in terms of combo potential, but his damage isn't necessarily that high. So there's probably more of a likelihood that you'll drop your combos. And so you have to be more skilled with performing combos maybe. And if you are, then you're rewarded with like long, really intense, intimidating combos and stuff like that. And then with Vegeta, you know, being a glass cannon, you know, you just can't get hit, but you have devastating power. So then that's the trade-off. So you just have to be good about being defensive when you need to be and being incredibly offensive when you need to be and picking your moments. So it sounds like they may be more technical characters compared to the more balanced normal Goku and Vegeta Super Saiyans. Along with that, a story mode has been revealed, and go figure, it has to do with apparently 16 has a big part in the story mode. So there's like zombies or something, which is an interesting way to use the assets that they have in the game that they've worked so hard on. I'm cool with that. I'm just curious to see like what the story is. I'm hoping it's as cinematic and as engaging as the Guilty Gear Xrd Revelators story was, like the way they did that. Maybe not necessarily have it be mainly just like a movie, because for anyone who's played Xrd Revelator, it's kind of like the story mode is kind of just like a movie pretty much, albeit pretty dope. Like that ending fight sequence was really sick, but I don't know if they're gonna go that route. I'd be fine if they did, but maybe they might not, I don't know. But I'm not surprised they have a story mode. You gotta have something like that, especially if you're gonna have a more casual audience come in and want to play this game. They're gonna want to see what's up with a story mode or something like that. If you look at other games like in Injustice 1 and 2, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 9, the story modes were big parts of how people enjoyed the games. And lastly, I want to talk about one of the new modes that was announced. It's what I believe was a 3v3 mode where you can actually have 3 friends versus 3 other friends and actually play against each other, which is actually pretty sick. I don't know if it's only online or if it's actually something you could do versus actual friends, like couch co-op or whatever. If so, that's gonna be pretty sick. That's gonna be chaos. I don't know any other game that's done that. I think DOA 2, you could do like 2 versus 2. Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I think you could do that, but 3v3, man, that's gonna be crazy. Also, in terms of online, they have the chibi sprites like in the lobbies, just like Guilty Gear Xrd, which is really cool. They're adorable. Like they look so cool. Like little Gohan, little Goku. Look, I love that. I love the little sprites. I want to just run around just as a little sprite. So just take some time to just do that. Like it looks so cool. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like those are just some of the things. I think most of what they've announced since the initial announcement of this game, and I just wanted to go over some of that stuff, just give my 2 cents on it, how I feel about it, what I think, what some of my predictions were. I'm gonna make another video, I think, about what characters I'd like to see. I haven't done a character video, like my ideal roster or anything like that, so maybe I might make a video about that. But yeah, guys, I mean, like, what do you guys think about the content and announcements that have been unveiled so far? Has your favorite characters been announced so far? Do you already have your dream team? Like, what do you guys think about some of this stuff? Let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. It's Fahrenheit signing out.